Hi, welcome back to another episode of Victoria 2, Heart of Darkness. As we left off last time, we were getting ready to finish conquering Siam once and for all, and we're in the midst of an election cycle. Now, before I unpause the game this time, I'm going to add Dynam and then eventually Spain to my sphere of influence, since apparently it is added in Heart of Darkness that you can now remove countries from your own sphere of influence, so there's no reason to just keep them at arm's length. So I'm going to at least start increasing my opinion with Dynam, and we'll add Spain once I get the chance. It will also make it a little bit easier to keep everybody else from messing with me in Spain, so it's a nice boost, and when I'm ready, I will be able to drop them off of my sphere and conquer them. So with no more ado, let us begin. First thing, since I have plenty of officers, or plenty of leadership built up, I'm going to create another couple of generals. One can never have too many. Love and war. So war policy. Court faction is pro-military. We're pro-military. I can, sorting by priority, going to increase the opinion of Hyderabad, that's how you pronounce it, Hyderabad, and increase Dynam up to friendly. Our military plans just finished being researched, so next up will be, I suppose I'm going to upgrade my navy a little bit, since the cost modifier for years known is getting pretty large. Might as well take advantage and at least get these three here, the left three columns, that are all quite useful. The other two are fairly useful, but not required by any means. Also, I'm going to slowly start upgrading some of my naval ports, since I seem to have neglected to do that after the last technology that allowed it. Battleship column doctrine was found. And I'm going to keep taxes where they are for the moment, so that I will be able to keep upgrading all those. I'm going to repay my loans. As always, interest is a bad thing. And unfortunately, still no interventionists, so decisive arguments for state capitalism. And let's see, when can we fight Siam again? The truce is up, 27th of April, so I will keep an eye on that. The same event again, state capitalism. And going to upgrade this naval base once I get the cash. Well, actually, first I'm going to make sure that all of these are upgrading. They are not. So, Kanto, where to spend the money here? Furniture looks like the future here. We already have something upgrading here in Kyushu. So I'm going to just save up and upgrade the steel factory in Kansai, and then get back to upgrading naval ports. They're much more expensive in Heart of Darkness, but you can also only have one per state, so it balances out to be about the same price, just with a lot fewer places you can build ships. Alright, economy. I don't really like planned economy, so I'm going to choose the lowest one here, since state capitalism is what we're trying to stay at. Since, of course, we can't seem to get interventionalism as an option. I really hope one of these factions gets replaced with one with interventionalism soon. And the same event again, going with planned economy. Surprised none of the German miners have gone bankrupt yet, but there's still time. Alright, election finished, court faction stays in power. I'm okay with this. Looking at rebel factions, reactionaries should be fine after this. But it's very possible that we will need to, if these other movements keep growing, we might just get enough to enact a common school movement, which will increase our education, or even healthcare, though it will probably make those people that are in other movements angry. But it would be very nice to increase healthcare or school movements. Those two are big time useful because they increase population growth or literacy growth, both of which are, of course, very important to winning by the end of 1935. Looking at the newspaper, Portugal is trying to expand again, and Lübeck has, in northern Germany, has apparently lost to German pan-nationals. I don't know what that will mean. Nothing, it would seem. Sometimes when pan-nationals will conquer one country, even if it's a small country, it will set up an event and turn all of this area into all of the area that they're a pan-national for into that country. But it would appear that that is not the case in this instance. All right, gonna see. There we go. We can finally get an alliance with Romania, which probably won't affect us, but to be able to project a little bit of power into Europe will eventually be useful. Vaccination just showed up. Lower army attrition, not a big deal. Military hospitals, a pretty big deal. So, another nice invention. And we can now justify another war. Looks like we have to demand concession again from Siam. We can't quite conquer them outright. But even if the maximum infamy of 5 means we'll still be able to move and conquer something else immediately afterwards. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Romania's accepted our military alliance, to the surprise of no one. And here's hoping that our CB generation will not result in a ton of infamy. Even though, as I said, even 5's not a big deal. But, Greece is causing another international crisis. And the Ottoman Empire has moved back up to great power, which means no one backed them immediately against the UK, which in turn means that Greece has expanded. So Greece is slowly moving up into second power status. If they can just get their literacy off the ground and industrialize a little bit, they have quite a bit of population and at least quite a bit of land. Well, not that much population, but a decent amount of land. So they might shuffle up the Ottoman Empire a little bit. Ottomans are not doing so well at the moment. They've lost quite a bit of Greece. In fact, almost all of what they can give to Greece, except West Macedonia. And after Greece gets all of theirs, it's only a matter of time before things like Albania or Bulgaria, any of those other Balkan countries start breaking away. So, if I were the Ottomans, I would be sweating. But the Ottomans are run by a computer, so they probably can't sweat. If they could, it would be really bad for my computer. So thanks, Paradox, for not letting your AI sweat. Right, and I'm trying to get Hyderabad, for whatever reason can't pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to ban me here very shortly. Well, nope, they just discredited me, it would appear. And we got 0.8 infamy, so less than the amount that bled off while we are trying to justify this war. Not really a big deal. Fortunately, we're only going to get a single province from this, but that does mean that finally the next war will be a conquest, I believe. And it gives us some more space here next to Laos and Cambodia. So, well, Luang Prabang, but the area known as Laos, and of course Cambodia. And there we go, we got our CB. So, gonna go ahead and declare war, no time like the present. I could call Romania, but there's literally no reason to do so. Demanding concession. And going to move that army here to take the one province that I will be getting from winning this war. Note, win, not if. And then moving some more units to in the south to try and occupy in this war a little bit quicker. Looks like Luang Prabang has joined in the war. They won't really have any effect one way or the other. It should be over very quickly. And we're starting to occupy, although the enemy army is also starting to occupy, albeit very, very slowly since they're very small. And of course, fire control systems and other technology just got researched. Now what to research next? I'm thinking it might be time for some more of these industrial research. So I'm going to go with interchangeable parts. It has a nice big amount of factory throughput, plus some additional output for jigs, and, well, or for furniture and luxury furniture. Actually, scratch that. The 10% and 15% from high and low pressure steam engines is probably worth more, considering most of our people still work in agriculture or mining and farmers, let's put it that way, instead of craftsmen. Eventually, I need to get back over here and do business regulations. That may be next up, just because a significant drop in factory cost, additional diplomatic influence, and an extra 10% output for mining and farming, a big deal. Organized factories will have to be researched here soon too. There's still quite a lot. Unfortunately, there's too many different good things that I want to research, so it's all about trying to decide which ones. I'm thinking that Dainam might soon be on the list of enemies, so after this war with Siam, I might go ahead and try to take some of Vietnam, or at the very least, take Cambodia out of their hands. There's our first province occupied. Moving them on to the next one. Should not be a long war, in fact. Nope, they won't accept peace yet, but it's only a very short matter of time. Probably as soon as I finish occupying here, they will propose peace. Especially if I wipe out their army and occupy their capital, like I'm planning to do. Looking at the newspaper, talk about the crisis, Japan going to war, Bremen's afraid of Hanover, Commonwealth research. So Mozambique has researched cheap steel. It's again good for them. Nothing super interesting in it this time, but it's still nice that there's occasionally some pretty cool updates in the newspaper. We've apparently disturbed a holy site. Oh no. So I can either take a little bit of militancy and consciousness, or a lot of militancy for whatever is not the dominant religion. I'm going to take the militancy and consciousness. It didn't seem to have a big effect one way or the other, so... but at the moment, consciousness is bleeding off faster than militancy. We finished another occupation, and let's see. Perhaps they will accept peace. Well, Luang Prabang won't. Keep trying to say that wrong. Yep. And Siamese Cambodia is ours. So, another very short but very effective war. That now puts us right here next to Cambodia. But Dainam is still allied with China, so maybe I will hold off on that for the moment. On the other hand, Burma's truce is up pretty soon, and yeah, that's the only other country that I can immediately conquer, at least in this area. What I will be looking to do in the near future, however, is perhaps to expand either to India, or if all of these are Great British Spherlings, which it looks like they pretty much all are, I might even expand over into the Arabian Peninsula, conquer some of this nice area over here, which will eventually give me quite a bit of oil, which is, of course, worth quite a bit of money. It's not a lot of people, and it's not super valuable land, but land for the sake of land is worth something. Should be able to colonize here in the next 5 or 10 years, too. I need to start focusing my text towards that a little bit anyways. But in the meantime, I'm happy to have a little bit more land, and we'll wait around in Southeast Asia before I do anything else over in this part of the world. It looks like China has dropped down to stop being of any real value, although they do have a number of allies. Well, actually, just Dainam is the only one that isn't part of their sphere, it looks like. Or no, yeah, or it's the only one that isn't a satellite, I should say. So let's see what kind of war justifications would be allowed here. Well, first we have to decrease relations. How obnoxious. And then we wait. After another, there we go. I could demand a concession. I'm not sure if demanding concession will give me... Not sure that will give me a state out of Manchuria, but I guess it doesn't really matter as long as I'm still conquering it. Doesn't matter if it's connected to Korea or not. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start that, justifying that war goal, and was found immediately, of course, because that's my luck. But that's okay. We have plenty of infamy to spare at the moment, and the Chinese will not know what hit them. They're still uncivilized, whereas we are very much civilized and ready to conquer them like any good civilized folk would. Beginning of 1866, the socialists are gaining more power again. That seems to be the movement. It probably is because of the high amount of taxes on the poor. I'm going to drop taxes on the middle class for now. Oh, and I didn't even raise maintenance for land and naval during that war. Huh. Whoops. I am going to raise those taxes back and increase the land maintenance, so I will be ready for this war with China when it happens, because it certainly is a win and not if situation at this point. It looks like we can now add Spain to our sphere of influence, which I'm going to go ahead and do. No reason not to. But leave the priority pretty low on it, still putting a little bit of influence, but not as much. Just building it up so that if anybody tries to take Spain back and I don't want to let them, I will be able to keep them at bay and eventually bleed them off once I get to 100% influence. Now just waiting on the war justification. Should be done in about 3 months. Hope Japan is ready, for we are going to war with China. World War II, early version. And some supply consumption and organization. Organization's good, should help us against the Chinese to beat them even easier. Our clergymen are still increasing pretty fast, but we're getting a lot of research points at the moment, so I'm quite happy with where we are technologically. Still at about 1 year for the recent-ish technologies, so not great, but fast enough. And something added our navies, but as of right now, we really can't build anything good. We are unable to build ironclads yet because we do not have iron steamers, and so this will affect us eventually, but for now does not affect us at all. Looking at the news, victory over Siam. France and Prussia are at war, probably, over Alsace-Lorraine. That'll happen. Japan expanded, yay us. And demand concession CB. So, what do we want to take? Manchuria would probably be the one to take, assuming we can get them to give up. And it does not look like we can. We're only able to demand one of their states, one of the Chinese states. So, what is it that we would want? I'm thinking Shandong is what we're going to declare war for, and then probably add a free country to this war as an added war goal. But 16 war score, I think we can get that. Call allies. Romania does not want to go into this war. We don't really need them to. So let us get started. Japan, roll out. Just moving these units in. Going to slow down the game a little bit so that Dynam joined in, along with all the satellites, of course. Which, however, Cambodia did not, it would appear. So Dynam is just going to sit here. Looks like we can move through Cambodia to get to Dynam, at least. We'll keep an eye out. We might be able to add a war goal, take one of their states as well. We have a little bit of infamy to play around with, so we'll just wait and see. Alright, battle has been met. And we are wiping out Manchuria's units. The issue here, of course, is what happens when they mobilize, but we will cross that when we come to it. Oof. A lot happens when they mobilize. This may not be as easy of a war as I was thinking. I'm going to move in some reserves. Starting to occupy, but yeah, going to move in the reserves from the home islands to the Korean Peninsula. Just gonna take it one step at a time, see how this goes. Thankfully, we're keeping pretty small armies, so our supply limit is not an issue. And going to, rather than chase them down, I'm just going to let these units occupy. If I can get 16% pretty quickly, I will hopefully be able to finish the war before China can get all of its mobilized units to bear. In Heart of Darkness, mobilization is done slowly in chunks, and so, again, hopefully, I can end this war before they get all of their 400 brigades to fight me. That's a good start, wiping out 18,000 with very minimal casualties. And starting to occupy in Dainam. If I can kick them out of the war, it'll at least close that front. I'm waiting for these units to move in to be able to support, and just keeping an eye out. My units are better than their units, but if this war is still going on in September, I'll definitely try and get army decision making, and eventually breech loading rifles. But it probably won't be able to be researched in time for it to really matter. We've gotten an occupation done, so going to move on to the next province, another occupation. And the plan is just to pretty much sweep across the countryside and occupy everything. Oh, the Vietnamese have shown up and decided to fight. Another couple of occupations. I'm gonna just move them all one by one. The battles are going to get us the war goal faster than the actual occupation will, because they have so much land, but by the looks of it, Manchuria is certainly not spending any on military maintenance, and so hopefully these wars will be pretty easy. I probably should have adjusted who the leaders are of each of these armies before I got involved, but looking at them, it looks like they're actually all pretty good leaders. Ooh, not that one. That one's terrible. There we go. Replaced him. Continuing to occupy. And that was a nice battle. Did 10-1 casualties. Additional mobilization size, additional tax efficiency, some very good inventions. Won the occupation here in Dainam. Gonna go break their siege and then move to occupy some more. I'll take Saigon. Why not? Looking at the newspaper, the biggest news is, of course, Japan and China going to war. That's us. We've made the news. And watching it. Wow, these battles are very quickly catching up to what we will need to get them to force a peace. Probably 30% is about where we have to aim before they will definitely accept peace. But we might yet get there. Can't add war goal to Dainam because we don't have enough support for Jingoism, apparently. Won a couple more occupations. Can't add war goal to either of these. Makes sense. There we go. Just keep moving these units along as we finish occupying. Ooh, that is a big army, but we will see. We might just be able to beat them. I will bring in the extra units if I can't win with just these 27,000. Hopefully technology will carry the day here. And if not, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Going to move this unit on over here to the front and have them ready to go to war. Got here just in time, got over to where Vietnam, or Dainam, excuse me, was trying to occupy parts of Southeast Asia, just in time to stop them from finishing it. Finished another occupation, going to move that unit as well. And we have made battle with the huge Chinese host. So we'll see. Oof. They completely outnumber us. But we have the better army, and we'll soon have close to 50% the number of troops they do. We're taking far fewer casualties than they are, but still more than would be ideal. Moving in the reserves. This army will get there on the 12th, and this one down here will get there on the 20th. We'll see. This may be the battle that decides the war, and eventually the entirety of the Chinese-Japanese relations. I am, however, going to go ahead and mobilize some troops. It looks like we are going to be hugely outnumbered and need some additional troops, even though they are running low. There are only so many of their troops they can put in the line at once, so if we can fill up our side pretty well, especially and keep this artillery safe, we might still win this. Blood and Iron, going to dig deeply and greedily, and then cross our fingers and hope for the best. And of course move over units as fast as we possibly can. In fact, I'm going to build up another 20 steam transports so that they can be moved over faster. I'll split them after the war, but for now I just need to get units to the front as fast as possible. And we are doing pretty well here. There are just so damn many of the Chinese in this battle. We won another occupation. Let's see, who's not doing anything? Alright. These units are definitely... Oh, look. Dainam's trying to invade Brunei. They can try. There's not really that much of use from doing so. We're eventually going to want Spain to be willing to ally with us, at least until we're ready to beat them up. So I'm going to increase relations and keep on going with the occupation in Manchuria. China still won't accept our offer of peace. We just need to wait and hope that some more units will show up soon. Won a battle here against Dainam. Going to go and try and break the occupation here in Southeast Asia, or rather counter out their occupation since they have successfully occupied. We're starting to run a little low on troops over here, but they're dropping faster than we are. Unfortunately, they have far more units than we do. So we may have to move to a defensive position. I'm going to move this occupying army. In fact, I'm going to move them all up to fight. We can occupy when we're done. Winning the battles are the most important right now. Once any of these get to 0 organization, I'll move them out and have them reinforce. With this big of a battle, I might just be able to get it. Ah! Look at that! We don't even have to finish the battle. They have capitulated, and we have conquered our first chunk of China. Rejoice! For Japan is triumphant. So first things first, demobilize everyone and cancel all of these constructions. Really not necessary at this point. And just move the rest of our troops back where they need to be. But that was much easier than I expected. I'm going to put 2 units down here in the newly conquered chunk of China, as well as putting back some units here in Korea. And before I go to war with them again, I will want to reinforce all these units, probably up to 60,000 each. But for the moment, I will just sit them at the borders, let them wait, just to make sure China's still aware that I have teeth. Though I have a feeling they are very much aware now. Just added about 4 million to our population, and high and low pressure steam engines just showed up. We're very much moving towards the top of the world. I'll do organized factories first. As far as technologies, speeding the game back up, making money, making absolute bank again. So I will drop all these taxes, raise spending on naval units, drop rich, drop wealthy, and poor can stay where they're at for the moment. But making tons of money. So going to upgrade some of these factories. Any of them that are full and making money or close to being running out of space in the entire state, I will go ahead and upgrade. And that should be enough for now. Used up almost all of our money, but we're still making plenty. In Shedong, it'll be a long time before we have enough of an accepted nationality, if ever, to turn it into a state, but even as a colony, it is still very useful. And once we get a few more of the social thought techs, the number of Japanese that move over there should speed up. Assuming, of course, that there is space in the RGO, which, looking at the size of the provinces, and thus the size of the RGO, should not be a problem, at least for a while. Looking at the news, prices for canned food have gone up. That's entirely China's fault. And the main article is not that important at all, but this little article here is about the most major event in Asia and probably in the world over that period. But that's alright. We deserve just a tiny little article. That's fine with me. I'm not super offended. Just a little offended. Oh, and while I'm at it, going to expand that naval base. Going to expand the naval base. Oh, already expanded that one. I'm going to expand the one down here next. Once I have a little bit more money. And there we go. Starting the expansion. And that's where I'm going to stop it for today. Looks like we will get some new nice factions to look at when I come back. Socialists have taken some power, and of course, the biggest news is that we have successfully taken on and beaten China. Huzzah! So check back soon for more Victoria 2 Heart of Darkness.